Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jennifer Doyle, and I am a co-founder and the Vice President of Customer Success and Support at InspectPoint. I am going to be moderating today's presentation. Today, I am joined by Drew Slocum. He is a fellow co-founder and the Vice President of Business Development here at InspectPoint. Drew has has a really great demo lined up for us today with lots of information about how InspectPoint works with the Title 19 AES forms for California users. But before I turn it over to him, I have to go through some of the housekeeping with you guys. So I just wanted to let you know that we're going to have roughly 15 minutes or so at the end of the presentation for questions. If you have anything that you would like to ask at any time regarding this topic, the platform in general, anything, feel free to drop your questions into the question area in the GoToWebinar control panel on your screen. I will be moderating those, gathering them up, and then at the end of the presentation, we will answer them live. If there are any questions, though, that we cannot get to live on today's webinar, we will address those through email. So don't worry, we will get to every question, whether it's live or through email. Also, if you have not seen a full demo of InspectPoint and you're interested in a private demo where you can really get in, ask your questions, please contact sales@inspectpoint.com and we will get that set up for you. So that is all of the housekeeping and information that I have on my end. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Drew. So Drew, the presentation is all yours.
Great. Thanks, Jen. You can hear me okay, right?
Yep, sound great.
Perfect. Well, thank you everybody for joining today's webinar. I kind of had this idea a few weeks back. I've been recently I got involved in some of the CAL FIRE AES committee a little bit, just sat in as a guest in the last meeting and really wanted to kind of showcase our workflow for California on the AES form side. You know, it mainly pertains to fire sprinkler, and fire suppression, clean agent, and kitchen systems and suppression systems that way. So we have a specific workflow that I want to get into detailed. Again, any questions, please feel free to shout it out or email us. But I'm going to dive right into it. I really want to focus on the forms mainly. So there's a lot of our platform that I may not be able to cover. Again, we could do that in a separate demo or maybe hit it at the end of the presentation. So just a little background about myself. I always toss this up, the co-founder of the platform, head of business development, reside here on the East Coast in Connecticut, and worked with Tyco and Viking for about 14 years, starting my career with Tyco and kind of transitioning into Viking after that. Came on to InspectPoint right after that, really got fired up on the inspection, testing, and maintenance and service side of life. So also the executive director for a New York Sprinkler chapter and heavily involved in the industry as well. I go to a lot of NFPA committees as a guest, but I sit on one technical committee and then heavily involved in a lot of the trade associations. Finally, a quick little plug, I'm the host of the Fire Protection Podcast, so it's a fun little outlet to get other information about fire protection. So that being said, let's get over to the actual demo of the California form process. So what I have set up here, there's two parts to the InspectPoint platform. There's the back office web portal, and then there's the front end piece, which the technicians have in the field. So we are iOS only, so we're iPad or iPhone based. So all that, it's a native app to InspectPoint. It's fully offline compatible. There's a lot of functionality with it that I may not hit today. Again, I want to focus on the California forms. Right now, what you see is the back end part of the house. So this is any manager, service managers, owners, salespeople can be in this view. I'm in my acmeca.inspectpoint.com, specific to California setup. So we have all the Title 19 AES forms loaded into here. So it's not a PDF. It looks like a PDF. it from here, it actually looks on the tablet like a PDF, the exact form, but we're actually taking a lot of the data and trying to make it efficient for the technicians in the field as well as the back office. So it looks like a form, but it's way beyond that, and I want to get that kind of clear and when we move through this. So right now, this is the home screen, and I'll move down the left side and hit a few of these screens. This is the monthly dashboard for all the inspections for the month of November. And we move inspections through the process a bit differently. We have pending inspections, which could be reoccurring at a specific building over the next few years, quarterly, annual, however you want to schedule those. Once they show up into the scheduled status, they'll be dispatched out to the technician. They'll see that on their iOS device. They can then jump in, do the inspection, and actually do some service while they're there as well. From there, we grab a timestamp and a GPS stamp, portray all the forms that are needed, and then the tech has the ability to add them in the field as well. So if they're missing one from the back office, they can quickly add one and load it up. So at that point, they do need connection to get it loaded up, but during the inspection, they don't need connection at all. They can perform every inspection throughout that day. Once they get connected to the to Wi-Fi or a data plan, Verizon, AT&T service, they can then fire it back to the office. At that point, the office can produce those actual PDF documents of the inspection. It'll also push into our deficiency management platform, which is really key as well, because all the deficiencies from the actual AES forms goes into our platform for quoting purposes, for uploading to third-party platforms like the compliance engine. So we do a lot of fun stuff after it comes back to the office, which I'll show you. So let's get kicked off here. Calendar view, pretty basic overview of the month of all my different technicians, where they're going to be. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this, but today we've got a couple scheduled, and I'll schedule another one out as well. We break this down to the month, week, and day as well. The buildings tab, this is kind of the base of our of the whole inspection and inspect point platform. So the build, and it kind of jives with NFPA and fire protection anyway, because you have buildings, then you have fire protection systems under that. So now we do have hierarchy where you could go above this with a specific customer or property manager. But I'm going to pull up Pebble Beach golf links. I always I do all these demos because I am a pretty big golf nut. So I got Pebble Beach golf links in Pebble Beach, California. And what you'll see here is you'll see a bunch of tabs for this specific building. Now, the info tab has a bunch of information about it. We do have joint commission compatibility. So if you are interested in joint commission, I'm not going to cover that today, but we have a specific setup that I could show you in a private demo as well. Just some general notes, internal office notes in here. These notes will show up to the technician in the field. Now we have a bunch of other tabs here. Again, I'm not going to get into too many of them. A couple that you will see: alarm systems, extinguishers, exit signs. You'll see these, and in our regular inspect point platform that's not kind of California and tied to those forms, you'll see a suppressions tab, you'll see a sprinkler tab, but within California, you won't see that because it's form-based. But if you do fire alarm or extinguisher in California, you're using our regular platform. So you'll see the fire alarm device or the system with all the devices loaded here. Again, I'm not going to get into the fire alarm or the extinguisher. I just want to let you know that we have the full ability to bring those part of the or sectors of the industry in as well. Same thing with extinguishers. We break down all those extinguishers separately. So that's in the inspect point workflow. But what I want to show you is the actual form process. So I'm going to schedule out an inspection. One time a repeat. Again, repeat's going to be that reoccurring inspection over the next few years. I'm just going to do a one-time. It's going to take 3 hours. We're doing a quarterly, so it's only going to take an hour. I'm going to select a quarterly. Now, if you are doing alarm or extinguisher, we would show those here. That's our regular platform. If you don't do that, we turn those fire protection systems right off, and you only see external forms down here. Now here, you can add this from the field or the back office, which I'm in now. So I'm going to add the cover sheet, and you can add as many as you want here. And if you want to take a peek, we've got all, I think, 20 or so forms here for the AES. Now, the one great part about us is, and I know AES and California is in the process of revamping those forms. As the changes occur, we're going to stay right up to date with that. There is some functionality. I'm actually providing some, or Inspect Point's providing some technical help there to make the form even better. So just wanted to let you know that we are involved in that whole process. So I'm going to save this inspection. We're dispatching out to Drew Smith, who's the default technician. So at this point, scheduled. It should be dispatched out to Drew's iPad at this point. So I'm going to pull up my iPad. Let's see here. Another golf photo on my desktop. So what we'll see here, pull up my iPad view. So this is what the technician sees. I'm already logged in for California, the California platform, but this is what the technician will see, everything that's currently scheduled to them. Now you'll see some things in here called work orders. If I have time, I'll hit work orders maybe toward the end of it, but inspections are fully different than work orders in our system. Work orders are just for service tickets. You can add material to it. Emergency service calls, quoted service calls to make those fixes. Inspections are tied to NFPA 25, tied to NFPA 72, whatever you're doing. So a little bit different view from here if you want to use our work order platform. So what I'm going to do is what you'll see is anything currently scheduled to myself, anything 14 days in the future, and anything I've currently completed. So I'm going to log back in again, make sure everything updates correctly. So what'll happen is everything updates here, and I've got my in chronological order my inspection. So I have a bunch of stuff from the past I haven't closed out of here. But this is the quarterly I added. November 18th, we're doing a quarterly, we're doing a cover sheet in the AES wet pipe. Here's the contact. Here's the past inspection report. So I have one from August. Actually, I have a couple from August and one from May. We can refer those if I pop that open, and it'll just pop up the last inspection. Now, what's nice is what you'll see here in a second is when I go in to inspect this, I click inspect, I can then go offline. I don't need connection anymore. I'm gonna stay connected so I can keep showing everybody here. But what we'll do, we see a bunch of different views. So we see the cover sheet will start and the wet pipe. Let's just start off right with a cover sheet. So what'll happen is it pre-populates a lot of items. This is off the date field and the building data that we can pull in. Now, obviously you have to fill out all this information, but we have a great functionality where we can pre-fill from the previous inspections for this. So the last quarterly I did was on Tuesday, August 18th, and I pull in the cover sheet. That'll pre-fill everything that happened from August. So everything will get pre-populated what we did last time. So if that information doesn't change, you do have to change the dates in here. So I can clear these dates out, put today's date, clear this date out, put today's date, and then same thing here. So at that point, I click save. We could add a photo to this if you want to take a picture of the building or something that prove that you were there. But I click save, it saves it locally to the iPad. So even if we're not connected, it does save it to the iPad. Once we send it back, it'll fire it all back to the cloud. You'll see that it closed out and we completed that because it graded out there. Now, if we start the quarterly wet pipe here, you'll see, the generic building information filled out. Now, that pre-fill works great here, especially for the quarterlies, because what it'll do is it'll bring in the last, any information we did from last inspection. So it has the May, it has the August dates. And really, if this information didn't really change much, obviously you can, if you need to change some of this flow information for some reason, you can come in here and quickly change that. But if we start the next column, click the date, pre-populates to today, and all these are pass fail. Now, the one nice part about this is I'm not going to fill all these out just for speed purposes and time, but if we click fail, you'll see something happen. I'll just put some fake pressure datas in here. Again, it doesn't need to all be filled out. Now, one of the new ideas for the AES form for the next version is maybe doing check boxes here. Again, we'll adapt to whatever the form's going to be, but that is potentially a new thing coming. And then we've got the dates here. Obviously, we have to change these dates and clear these out, but if you just click on the field, it'll auto-populate some of the dates. So some efficiencies definitely with filling a lot of this out. Now, one of the cool parts where, a lot of stuff maybe get lost in the shuffle by filling these out via PDF or definitely on pen and paper is the deficiency and comment section. So down here, these are the two previous deficiencies that I had on here. So FDC caps were missing from last time. Looks like we passed that this time. This time, if you can see here, this 1.5, which is the one I marked gauges. So that auto-populated down to the bottom. Inside here, we can actually say gauges past the due date. So we can actually talk into that, mark that off as a deficiency, put that on riser 1, and we could even take a photo of that and then tie that back. This is just going to be my laptop, but you can have as many photos as you want. That ties it, I'll just call this gauges. This ties it to the inspection, which you then can send to the customer for proof or toss it even onto the quote. Now, what we can also do is we fix the FDC cap. So I can actually mark that as a comment saying customer will fix. Now I'm going to mark that as a comment, not going to mark it up as a deficiency, and I'll show you why here in a second. Obviously, if you left it as deficiency, it's going to come back into our deficiency management platform. But what I'll do once I'm done with this inspection, obviously put my name and date down here. So this speeds it up a little down here. And then we do have a signature page as well, which will grab the signature. But I'll save this form. And what that'll do is when I come back out, it grays it out that I've completed both the cover sheet and the wet pipe. Now, I was kind of alluding to something before on the deficiency side. What this button is, this little triangle, these are all the open deficiencies at this building. Now, this is the one I just wrote up. I could put some details in here if I'm the technician. Again, this is nice, definitely for like third-party compliance or if you're doing a quote for somebody. This is a non-critical item. Obviously, you can write some notes in here as much as you want. Give it a status, talk to the customer, whatever. I'm just going to save that. But this is the one we closed out. So what I can actually do is the tech and I can say this was resolved from last time and just say it was fixed by the customer. So now it's out of our deficiency management. When you upload to Compliance Engine or whatever you're using, it'll be a lot more seamless. Plus, you won't have to quote it. It also won't, it'll show up in the form as a comment and not the deficiency. So pretty cool item on the deficiency management side. And again, that's what we've really touted our platform being. Now, I finished the inspection, looked at some of the deficiencies, but while I'm on site, might as well write up some corrections. So what I'm gonna do is gauges. I can add, again, we can blank out pricing or we can leave pricing open to have the techs write up some. That's kind of a customized feature. But I'm going to add a, say we added 2 gauges. I didn't complete it on site because I didn't get the customer's approval. We have the ability to adjust pricing as a tech in here. Again, we can turn that on or off. But I can also just say I left an information sign. So I did complete that on site. It's $100. I save that. So what that'll do is when I complete this out, I'm going to click review and complete. It's going to show the 2 deficiencies that are going to come back on the on the AES form. Now this one is in as a comment. This one is actually a deficiency, but those are the 2 deficiencies, obviously with the code references as well. But here's a proposal summary. I did 2 gauges and an information sign. We can get a client signature for this. We can actually generate an invoice in our platform. You can write up an additional quote as well as a tech. But I'm going to grab some signatures from the tech or the client. My name's already populated. I'll fire this. I'll complete this out. It saves it to the iPad. Once I get back to coverage again, or if I'm already connected to my data plan, I click send to office and mark complete. That will remove it from my scheduled tab over here, toss it into completed. And what'll happen is if I refresh at any point on my California portal here, I'll just come to the home page and you'll see it. The bell's ringing up here, 68, inspection's been completed. So we can automate that through an email as well, but somebody in the office will get that saying, hey, it took 8 minutes to complete. It's in waiting review. We also have a proposal link, so we did some work while we were out there or tried to write some things up. So what I'll do is I'll generate that report. Takes about 30 seconds to create that. We could do these separately too, especially if you have like backflow or something like that. Now down here at the bottom, we have reported deficiencies. So this is that gauges that came in with the code references and everything. What's nice here is I'm going to flip over to our deficiency management platform. Might as well talk to it about at this point. But at each building, we grab every deficiency for the entire history of that building. So I clicked on the deficiencies tab here. I'm going to select a random building. And why I'm covering this is we actually can take all the deficiencies at this building that are still open, so they haven't been resolved yet, and we actually can create a CSV for that. Now we're working on this with a third-party platform. I may be teasing this a little too early, but we're trying to interact better with the third-party platforms to not only get the reports in there better, but to get the deficiencies in there accurately and quicker, right? So why can't I export this to CSV and upload it into the compliance engine? So that's kind of step one of integration with that. And I see that being very powerful and a big time saver for companies. So this deficiency management platform allows you to do that. This will also take every deficiency and you can actually quote it with your customer, which I'll actually do right now. So back to this inspection. Again, I've generated the report, which I can open up, see what it looks like. Here it is right here. We do have a customer portal option if you wanted to see that, but I can email it out to the contacts. I can also edit the details of some of that, but I'll open this up. This is what it looks like. So we have our, again, everything we did right on the iPad, but populated into a PDF format. Everything there looks good. There's some monitoring. Again, we can turn some of this off and customize some of the bottom of this, and then we have our signature form here. So that's what the form looks like. Now, the great part about this is we do have a proposal link to it. So if I click on that, it kind of brings us to the bottom. So there's $200 that they wrote up while they're on site doing the inspection. So what I'm going to come in, I'm actually going to edit this. Call this Pebble Beach test. So we can have a bunch of different, you could do contracts in here, you could do service, inspection quotes. I'm going to do a deficiency quote. Jennifer's already tagged, so I'll put her as a contact too. I'll click next. So these are the gauges and the information sign we wrote up. And what's nice is we have a new feature in our platform where we actually can add material. So you can actually load in thousands and thousands of line items for material. Now we're working with potentially a couple supplier partners on this as well to get their pricing or costing automatically uploaded. So do I have any gauges? I do. And I can mark this up, whatever. So there'd be 2 gauges there. I marked this up already, so you know what, I'll just take this right out. But what's nice is the deficiencies pop into here as well. So if you wanted to, you actually could just link this. I think I can put a price at 0. So it actually shows you that we're adding the gauges as a material, but here's the code reference if your customer wants it. Tax will automatically populate for you whatever area you're in. So I click next, I can add a summary, I can add a scope of work, terms and conditions, and you can have a bunch of different ones in here. Click next. Here's the photos. Again, here's some of the other deficiency photos that I had saved in there. You could bring those up. I click next. We can now add the actual report. So the report link is going to go out right in the quote. So the AES forms are right in the quote with the actual everything going out. So looks good to go out. So I click save and send. I'm going to send this out to Jennifer. Bam, proposal's out there. So I created that at 11:21, 11:27. I sent it out for quote. And at this point, I'll wait for her to approve that. Again, now we can convert this into an invoice afterward. We can also convert this into a work order to then do the actual work. So within our platform, we have that full work order functionality where you can just do kind of service work not tied to an inspection. So it kind of flows all the way together with the full inspection and service process. So if I come over to proposals now, man, Jen, you're quick to accept. So if the bell's ringing, look at that. Well, I don't know if I have the notifications turned on. There's a notification we have when a quote has been accepted. So that is a nice little thing. But looks like she did accept this. So I'll actually click into this again. And it was viewed at 11:27, and she accepted 11:27 and says, "Yeah, best proposal I've ever seen." I probably doubt that, but anyway, it's kind of the full workflow. Obviously, we got that back from Jennifer, accepted. We do have a bunch of options for them when they look at that, but I can convert that rate into an invoice into our platform, and then you could push it out to one of your other invoicing platforms, or you could convert it right to a work order, which ties the whole inspection and everything all together. So I know I've been talking for about 30 minutes or so. I went through this pretty quick. One more thing to show is some analytic reports, and we have a bunch of dashboards for inspections for different periods. So if I can look at all my inspections for last year, I did 33 last year. Again, this is my demo platform, so it's not that well built, but you can pull this up from a lot of different areas. So if I just look at a deficiency dashboard for last year, I can see where everything's at. So I had 152 deficiencies wrote up last year, and here's all the statuses they're in. And then more importantly, proposals. So this is where your dollars come in. So I'll look at last year, all my proposals. I don't have too many, but you can see where everything is at. So anyway, that's kind of a quick overview of the California version of InspectPoint. I wanted to try to keep it to 30 minutes. Again, if you want to see a private demo, that's probably the best way to see the platform with us at InspectPoint, and we'll kind of get into the nitty-gritty of your business a little bit more. So Jen, I'm going to toss it back to you to see if there's any questions, and I'll kind of stay here and answer a few.
All right, perfect. Perfect. All right, so it looks like we've got one question so far. So just a reminder, if you've got any questions, if anything has come up about any part of the product, just feel free to drop it into the questions area, and we'll get those answered. But the one question that we've got so far is about the scheduling view, so on the calendar. Can that also be communicated to the customer, or is that for internal purposes only?
Yeah, great question. So this is internal. This right here. Now this breaks down to the week or the day. I'm going to pull up my regular platform as well. There's another dispatching. Let me make this a little bigger. We have a new scheduler feature too. It's more of a day-to-day for work orders and unassigned inspections, so you can kind of drag and drop into here. So it's pretty neat. This will have an integrated map here shortly as well. So on your question for the customer, however, what we can actually set up, since they won't see this calendar, we actually can send automatic reminders to the client. So it's a pretty basic reminder that'll go out a couple days or a week ahead of time before an inspection's about to happen. So we can auto-generate those reminders or just email reminders out to the client. But currently, right now, we don't have a client calendar. We're always taking ideas within our platform, so I never want to toss anything out, and we like the feedback. We do have a customer portal, so if I come into the contacts for this building, um, Jennifer is actually the contact. We can invite them to the customer portal. They will see all the buildings that they're assigned to, and they'll have read-only access to all of their reports, proposals, and invoices as well. That's a great idea on the calendar side, potentially, especially for larger customers. So great question.
Yeah, good question too. And Drew, actually on the product backlog from a customer suggestion, we actually have, speaking of customer portal, is for them to be able to um, schedule, basically propose alternate times for inspection. So they can log
Oh,
in,
great.
see when their inspections are actually scheduled for, and if it no longer works, be able to propose an alternate time to the company to try to avoid back and forth. So that's on the product backlog too.
Great.
For
Yeah, good,
yeah,
good
yeah.
point.
I think that's a great suggestion too. Kind of cuts down on those phone calls and emails back and forth. Um, Another question we have is, are the tech and or customer forms able to be viewed in another language, such as Spanish?
Great point. So in our regular platform, um, so we refer to NFPA 25, NFPA 72. So we actually translate our platform on the iPad into Spanish. We actually translate it into French, and the reports come back that way as well. However, with California, you still have to fill out the specific uh, AES form from California. Now, I don't know about this too well. I believe this form has to stay the way it is in English. Um, I don't believe they have a Spanish version of this, so whatever California needs, this has to be it. I could be talking, you know, incorrectly, but as far as I know, these AES forms have to be this way. But in our regular platform for fire alarm, for our regular sprinkler, we actually translate in French, Spanish, English, and full joint commission as well.
Perfect, perfect. And then I think that seems to be all of the questions at this time about. We'll just keep it up there for another minute. Any questions anybody has? If you're having trouble with the question box, just if you want to hit the little hand button, um, and you feel comfortable talking, we can always do that. You're amongst friends. So if you have any questions that you wanted to ask out loud, you totally can if you just raise your hand. And then also too, I know a lot of the time, oh, we have another question pop up, but also just really quickly while I'm thinking about that, if any questions pop up after you are done watching this webinar, I know that happens. Feel free to email sales@inspectpoint.com or contact Drew directly for any of those questions. And sorry, Drew, if I just threw you out there like that, but um,
That's all
let me
right.
see. When working with the third-party compliance, can reports be uploaded into their systems from the Inspect Point platform? So I know you talked about this a little bit with the little teaser there, but can we upload forms from InspectPoint into those third-party compliance platforms?
Today, it's a complicated question. Today, no. However, I've been working diligently with them to try to make a better solution for that integration. So, we're gonna work at it in steps. We have an API that we can connect to other platforms. So I think that is going to be coming, and it's going to be a priority for InspectPoint, definitely for 2021. But right now, you still have to go into Compliance Engine or the other third parties, upload the reports. You also have to type out a lot of the deficiencies as well. So I think coming pretty quickly with this is a CSV import for deficiencies. So if I come into that Sancho's Tacos, which is an actual building in San Diego um, that I have visited, uh, it'll have every deficiency in here. This will all also be able to be, we have to make a couple tweaks to this. So per system, because I know that's what some of the third parties, they do it per system. So we'll have to break out another filter for this, but we'll be able to create an export CSV, which will then be able to be uploaded to one of those third party platforms, mainly Compliance Engine to start. How I would like it to work, and again, I might be teasing this for the future, is, and I do want to work on this in the probably in the next 6 months to 9 months, is to have a button, whether it's here or down at the bottom with the deficiencies, to automatically push into their platform. So um, again, we're wanting to work together. They're wanting to work with us, a bunch of the third-party platforms. So stay tuned, and it's going to make everything better for the AHJs. It's going to make it better for the contractors, and at the end, the building owners as well. Great question.
All right. Any other questions out there that anyone can think of? Um, like I said, if any questions come up after the fact, don't hesitate to reach out. If you have questions and you're like, they're a little specific to just my instance, you can always reach out to sales@inspectpoint.com and set up that private demo so you can really get those questions ironed out and really see how the process and platform can work for your organization. So, Drew, I think that might be all the questions that we have at this time. Any final words or thoughts that you'd like to share at this point?
No, no, California's got a great solution. It's specific. They've broke out their own NFPA 25 code, and some of the others as well. So we're trying to make this. It's beyond a PDF, beyond paperwork. We're trying to create workflows to obviously for compliance, but generate some dollars. Obviously, that's what we're all in the business for. And if we can make that integration with the HJs even better, let's do it. So no, I appreciate all the feedback. Again, see a private demo. That's probably the best way to work with us. And yeah, we'll hopefully talk soon.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you everyone for joining. You will get a recording of this today. So if you do want to review anything that was shown, you will get a copy of it. And once again, any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you again for attending.
Thanks, everybody.